Good afternoon. I'm going to call the Council and Committee meeting to order. I'm Councillor Judy Villeneuve and I'm the acting mayor today. Mayor Watts isn't able to be with us today, so I'll be chairing the meeting. So if we could just hear from our first delegation, I'm just going to call them up. We have Craig East, who's Director of the Board of Voice Society of BC and Director of Options Community Services Society. Hello, Craig. And Craig made the presentation to our Social Policy Advisory Committee, so I'm very pleased to see you here today to speak to Council about your initiative.
Yes, thank you for having me today.
You're welcome.
I'm standing beside me is Anita Huberman, and back as one of the guests is Tim Beachy, the Chair of Options Society Services of Surrey.
Welcome to the three of you.
I've been a resident of Surrey for over 40 years. My working life today, I'm a CFO of a manufacturing company in Langley, and of our 107 families, 56 of them reside in Surrey. As far as my community life, I'm currently a Director of Options for over 14 years. I'm a volunteer at the Cloverdale Rodeo for 18 years in the 80s and 90s. I was a member, an active member of the Surrey Board of Trade as part of its council for 10 years and currently a governor. Relating to the City of Surrey, many of you will recognize the legacy funds that exist in the Surrey, and I was a part of an advisor group that set up the objectives of the legacy fund. And in recent past, I was a member on behalf of the Surrey Board of Trade with the Mayor's Red Tape Reduction Advisory Committee. So I've done a lot of things. I'm currently a member of Director of Board Voice. Now, what we're talking to tonight about a social policy framework is important to citizens and it's important to business. And Anita Huberman of the Board of Trade wishes to say a few words.
Thank you very much, Craig. So I just wanted to let you know, Acting Mayor and Council, that the Surrey Board of Trade voted in April to adopt a resolution calling on the BC government to begin a consultation to design a social policy framework. And you're going to hear the details of it in just a moment. And we're pleased to join Board Voice in this call. So why does a business organization focused on supporting business, attracting business, focus on social policy? Well, the Board of Trade is here and it exists to support and attract business. But when we are talking about the business community, we are also talking about supporting our social services, the health of Surrey, our health care, our justice systems, education services. And what we're talking about is our social services being aligned with and incorporated within a city's economic development strategy, not as separate entities. Through strategies that exist at the city currently to face a number of challenges in areas like poverty reduction, families, a lot has been done from a very leadership-oriented perspective in Surrey. But it needs to be tied to the city's overall economic strategy and communicated as such and be aligned as a provincial economic development strategy. Social policy is an opportunity for the BC government to clearly articulate their responsibility and their roles on driving this agenda, on how we meet some of our increasing social challenges. It's about how social prosperity, economic prosperity, environmental sustainability are all linked to provide a foundation for BC's future social programming. It's about getting rid of the silos. Everyone wants, for example, children to do well in school, but by grade 4, 30% of BC students aren't reading at the expected level, and 32% are falling short in math. The typical response, the silo approach, would be to ask the Ministry of Education for more money. But we know that 30% of children start kindergarten not ready to learn. The best way to help our kids, maybe, is to help support at-risk families with infants and toddlers, to address family poverty, or increase access to quality childcare. All of the things that the Board of Trade has spoken on and has clear policy on. So we're asking you to hear our framework on social policy, especially as you go towards UBCM in September. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anita.
Thank you, Anita. Now, who in the heck is Board Voice? Board Voice is a new society, been around 5 years. I'm a founding director. It's made up of 77 community-based organizations, much similar to Options, 800 volunteer directors, therefore represented about our membership, and we exist from around the province. We essentially focused on 3 things: advocacy on a matter like tonight, board governance to make boards stronger, as well as how to help those boards inside of communities connect better to each other. So our focus is more on a community rather than on specific agencies. And we are here trying to have a conversation with British Columbians in this case, through municipalities on a social policy framework. This slide is going to be repeated on slide 11. Essentially, I'm here today to have a conversation with City Council seeking your support to a resolution that's coming to the Union of BC Municipalities in early October. And it's through your collective voices at that level we're hoping that they will be heard in Victoria. Virtually every family in British Columbia will access social services during their lifetime. Young families for daycare, neighbors struggle to support children with developmental disabilities. Teens find living on the street with coping with homelessness, poverty, sometimes addiction, sometimes mental health issues. New Canadians struggle to find their way in new communities. The needs are increasing where resources grow tighter, and we know the province has made it clear that there's little new money for any of these things called health, education, and community services. We simply cannot throw more money at these issues. We are trying to hold the line as inflation and population growth makes service providers, such as Options, are stretched even tighter. The services are trying to address some of our most pressing and social matters that cross ministerial silos, as Anita indicated. They bridge across government, other agencies, and there's a lack of common vision, and more so there's a lack of the measures of success. We believe our province will be stronger if every individual and every community contribute to their highest level of their abilities. And some municipalities and associations of local governments agree, as indicated by this particular resolution that's going to the UBCM. How did this start? We believe part of the program begins with a province-wide discussion, starting with creating a social policy framework. In 2012, Alberta began a consultation that included 31,000 Albertans over a 6-month period on how they wanted to treat each other. How did they want to live? Out of that came a social policy framework that was passed in February 2013. And it's a good example of a social policy framework for British Columbia to look at. The policy had 3 purposes. 1, to clarify what Albertans are trying to achieve, how to get there, and what their roles and responsibilities are. To coordinate the activities within the government and between government and its stakeholders and its citizens, as well as to ensure there's policy alignment and consistency. And also to influence and guide the work of those around the province, providing overall direction to planning and decision making. It is a framework that has essentially 6 core components that are there on the screen in front of you. That is goals, vision, what are the outcomes that we're trying to achieve, what are the principles, what are the roles and responsibilities within the province, and what are some of the initiatives that have to transform from where Alberta was back then. They have 6 overarching principles of what they're trying to do. That is, for its citizens, we must find a way that they are safe, they are healthy, they are secure and resilient, they're lifelong learners, they're included, active and engaged. And in the context of how the Surrey Board of Trade has a discussion with the city, it's essentially what we call the 4 things: where we work, where we live, where we play, where we learn. Right? And that's sort of the context of how locally we describe those matters in front of us. The social policy framework drives the 8 different overarching goals. That is that you see in front of us. I want to highlight one of the initiatives that make it tangible. The social policy framework in Alberta coordinates all of the poverty reduction, early childhood development, the Children's Charter initiatives, all focused on improving health and safety, education, security, and well-being of children. The Alberta's Children was enacted in February 2004, just a couple of months ago. And it's a year later after they adopted the policy. You can see the sort of the focus that Alberta's taking on it. It's an aspirational policy document that envisions a world in which Albertans wish their children to show up, applying it a children's lens to the social policy framework for its outcomes. The production reduction strategy is close to being enacted. We understand that its focus is on eliminating child poverty in 5 years and overall in the province over 10 years. The strategy therefore straddles Children's Charter agenda and the broader social framework. It acknowledges that children do not live in a vacuum, and it's therefore addressing poverty must be holistic and focus on an entire community. And that's how they're sort of visualizing that particular. So how can a social policy be transformable? What do we want in a perfect world? I think we would all agree. We want our communities to be stronger, our children to be safer. They would grow up, come to school fed and ready to learn. New Canadians would feel welcomed and have the support they need to contribute to our communities. And we would all have the supports we need when things go sideways. We would be more engaged, we would be more connected. And when we need them, the health services would be there. This is the resolution in front of you. This is the one that we're having a conversation around the province. We currently have 15 municipalities in the province who have given an indication that they'll support this resolution, and we wish Surrey to be another one of those strong advocates. Our province will be stronger when there is every individual and every community can contribute to the highest level of their abilities. We're asking Surrey to join the call to be made at the BC Social Policy Framework of the upcoming Union of BC Municipalities in October. Call upon the Premier to begin the process to make it happen. And I thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Craig. Do any council members have questions? Councillor Rizzotti.
I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank both Craig and Anita. I want to say that I'm really proud of the collaboration that's taken place between business and our service agencies around ensuring the well-being of our residents by not working in silos, and congratulate you on all you've done to recognize that it's a hand-in-hand partnership. Is there a plan in terms of reaching out to other boards of trades or other counterparts in other municipalities to get support for this motion?
Yeah, there's a meeting of Board Voice with the Burnaby Chamber of Commerce and a meeting coming up with the Vancouver Board of Trade.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Councillor Hayne.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Craig, this is very informative and certainly is an aspirational goal. It's wonderful seeing both the business community, social service agencies, various levels of government coming together to work on something like this. In the Alberta model, is it the province that's really driving the bus on this, or is it really a shared vision between all of those different levels of government and business associations and social service agencies?
As an outsider on this topic, what got it to the goal line and continues to make it progress is a very strong minister that is very passionate about this, and he is leading the charge, breaking down the silos inside government.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Steele.
Thank you. I just want to applaud both of you for the work that you're setting out to do. I think this is an admirable, almost utopic goal, but not quite. I think that we can make it, and I think that this is obviously the way governments have to go now. And so I don't think it's an outrageous request to put before the Premier at all. I think it's coming with huge support, and hopefully is as successful as it can be. And so I look forward to working with you and seeing how far we can get.
Thank you.
Certainly, I will be giving it my support at the UBCM.
Okay, Councillor Hebner.
Thanks, Madam Chair. And yes, we have, as a director on the board of UBCM, I'd be happy to take this and support it at both the President's table and the executive level table prior to the conference floor in October. But I think it's also quite timely. With the significant economic opportunities in the north, without a social development or a social policy framework, and considerable shift in the numbers of people that would be moving to the north and the kinds of communities that that will be instantly created. I think a social policy framework is very timely for the province, and I would expect that they should welcome that it's a business opportunity as well as a social opportunity to make sure that we do this right when we do it. And I think that, quite frankly, they could ask the City of Surrey for some of their policy directions around, because I know under the incredible tutelage of Councillor Villeneuve and some of her committees, that there has been much policy work already done in terms of social initiatives in our own city and through Parks and Rec with the engagement of the youth. And quite frankly, I'm actually going to be mentioning one this evening. So I really thank you for your presentation, and I will support it. And are you asking us today to endorse this resolution?
Councillor Hepner, I could just to clarify.
You will find the best time, Councillor.
Yeah, it's actually coming through the Social Policy Advisory Committee. The Social Policy Advisory Committee had a presentation and unanimously supported it to send to Council. So it's coming through our minutes tonight. So we simply have to support that recommendation, and then we'll refer it to the UBCM. So
I rest my case on the good work of Councillor Villeneuve's committee. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So I think that's all of the questions for today, but I do want to say that we really appreciate you coming forward. It's very exciting to see people in the community coming together around it rather than just having lone voices at a policy committee at the city level. That has been working very hard with the Board of Trade and under Anita Huberman's leadership to develop strong social policy for the city. So we thank you on this leadership. I think it's a great new sort of networking of people that will have a strong voice to really advocate to the provincial government that we needed in this province. And with one of the lowest highest child poverty rates in the province of BC, and yet our future depends on our children, it's timely. So thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you for listening.
Okay. Good. Our next presentation then is by Martin Rooney. Is Martin here? Hi, Martin.
Hello.
Welcome, and I'll let you introduce some of the people that you've brought today.
Thank you very much. Acting Mayor and Council, thank you very much for giving us the time this evening. My name is Martin Rooney. I'm the founder of the Surrey Pride Festival going back to 1999. I am here this evening as the spokesman for the Alliance of GLBT leaders and organizations in our community. With me here this evening are representatives of the gay and lesbian, bisexual, transgender youth of Surrey who are our now and our future.
Welcome, all of you.
Also with us this evening is the Vice President of IPAMA, the Imperial Sovereign Court of Surrey, the founding organization of Pride, Susan Crape.
Welcome, Susan.
The President and the Vice President of the Surrey Pride Society, Mel Gill and Sean Ewing.
Welcome.
The adult coordinators for Youth for a Change, Dr. Jen Marshbank and Sylvie Trefan.
Welcome.
And on behalf of our gay businesses that support us, we have Mr. Corey Castle.
Good. Welcome, Corey.
We submitted a PDF file with our delegation requests, and I'm just going to review that and formally make the request.
Thanks.
First off, we would like to thank you for your years of support through proclamations of the Pride Festival and for the support of the Mayor and the Council in attending the festival in person. The first Pride Festival was a day-long event held at the facilities at Sullivan Hall and consisted of a Games Day, mini vendor fair, barbecue, followed by a Pride dance in the evening. Trust me, it was a long day. 15 years later, we now see this festival located in one of our city's treasures, Holland Park, an amazing jewel in the heart of our wonderful and diverse city. Even though the festival is in its 5th year at Holland Park, many changes have occurred to the downtown core in the past year, and City Hall is now located only blocks away from the festival venue, and this would be an ideal time for this council to consider embracing Pride by raising and flying the Pride flag at City Hall. We believe in the diversity that this administration has publicly espoused over the last couple of years, and ask that you embrace that diversity and find a way to set aside the federal flag protocol so that the Pride flag, which is one, in our opinion, not unlike the Olympic flag, that is universally recognizable as a symbol of diversity and inclusivity. So we come before you this evening to formally request that, in recognition of the 15th Annual Surrey Pride Festival, that the new City Hall host a display in the exhibit area which would include the Pride flag and details the history of the GLBT activism in Surrey, the materials for which we will provide. This display we request be held outside in public exhibit from June 27 through July 7, which represents the anniversary of the Stonewall riots, the traditional global official Pride celebrations, which would then encompass and embrace Surrey Pride. We also respectfully ask Council to see if there is any way to set aside the federal flag protocol and fly the Pride flag at City Hall during our festival. Gay Pride was not born of a need to celebrate being gay, but from a right to exist without persecution. In the late afternoon of May 14, 1969, after a marathon debate, the lower house of Parliament passed Bill C-150 by a vote of 159 to 55, with Conservative leader Robert Stanfield and a dozen members of his party voting in its favour. After successfully passing the upper house, the new law went into effect on August 26, 1969. We feel that the above requests would be educational at the very least, and if it was to save one life, then it would be worth it. It also shows all generations of GLBT people and the community at large that our city is open and welcome to all to live their lives securely and celebrate their lifestyles. Finally, we would ask that as the city embraces and co-sponsors many cultural events, we ask that the City of Surrey finally open the discussion to potentially embrace the Pride Festival, as many other cities in Canada do, as one of its annual co-sponsored events. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Martin. Council members have any questions? Councillor Hepner?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And hi, Martin, welcome. Did I hear you say June 27?
June 27 is the anniversary of Stonewall.
And is that when you would be looking to have a display in the open area of
In the
City?
foyer, yes, June 27 through Pride Festival Day, July 7.
Okay. So I'm not sure, Madam Chair, whether or not we have another council meeting, and if we should just refer that to the city manager to have that happen, or what I defer to the city manager in terms of timing.
Could you give us some response, Mr. Lalonde?
Through the chair to Councillor Hepner, we certainly can. The next council meeting is on the 23rd, but we will discuss with Mr. Rooney the display and what can be done in City Hall.
Thank you.
I think the display is a little bit easier to initially develop than the protocol around the flagpole that, except for when we were an Olympic city, I believe we only fly government flags of the 3 levels of government. Am I correct in our current, and whether or not that's a federal protocol?
Through the chair to Councillor Hepner, that's correct.
Is there an opportunity to have a flag inside the City Hall area or banners?
Yes, we will explore that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Councillor Rasodi?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And as we look at the request, again, first of all, congratulating all of you, because your festival has not only grown, it's also become an integral part of many generations and many cultures in the city of Surrey. So just a request, as we're moving forward, looking at what the delegation has asked of us, is if we look a little bit around what other regions and other cities have done when you're reporting back. And again, welcome. We have many, we celebrate very happily in the city of Surrey here in our foyer, not only with our staff and the public. So again, as we look at doing the celebration quickly in June, but also for staff to take a look at what other municipalities are doing around the region in terms of flag protocols, and seeing how relevant they still are even across the country. And if you could include all of that information, it would be very helpful as we make our decision. Thank you. And Martin, I want to give you a special thank you. I talk about often with students when I go to schools about how one voice can change many things, and your advocacy over the years has resulted in some great successes that have really changed the lives of many people in our city, and your battle against people not being able to cross the border who had HIV really had significant good impact, and so congratulations and keep it up, and I'm really happy to see all of you here today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Zodi. I think all of Council feels that way. Councillor Haynes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And just very quickly, Martin, I just want to congratulate you on the perseverance, and this will be 15 years of the Pride Festival here. And so that's a remarkable achievement. And certainly the festivals and parades right across Canada continue to grow, and we've got professional hockey players in some of them now, and so on. And it's just it's becoming just a terrific event. So I really hope to see it grow in the city of Surrey and do very, very well. So just wanted to say congratulations on that. Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for your presentation. We'll look forward to our report, and we're excited to attend the next festival.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. So I think that... motion to adjourn. Thank you. Second. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried.